So it's time to make sourdough bread again. I went ahead and took my starter out of the fridge. It's very cold. I have not allowed it to warm up. Now it's very important to have a starter that's strong. So use one that you know is working. This one, I fed it, I allowed it to rise, and then I put it in the fridge at its peak. Okay, so that's what we're dealing with. I'm gonna split this starter into these two bowls. I'm gonna be making 2 loaves. So I'm gonna take what's left in here, which is about 1/3 of a cup, and split it between the 2 bowls. So 1/6 of a cup in each bowl. I'm not weighing this at this point. I'm just using half of this because I know that's what makes my loaf good. So half goes in there, half goes in this one. Try and make them even. Now if you were just making 1 loaf, I would just take half of it and put it in one bowl and leave the other half still in this jar. Okay, so to feed these, now this is empty. Okay, you're gonna still have some bits in there, enough to restart this. Okay, the way that I feed it, I take my bread flour, 1/4 cup goes in each vessel, 1/4 cup, 1/4 cup, and then in the jar, 1/4 cup. Now I just start this with water. On the water, you're gonna wanna do just above 1/2 of this 1/4 cup. Okay. And you can kind of eyeball that once we start mixing it. Now in the jar, because there's no moisture at all, you might need a little bit more. So for the jar, I do more near the top. So stir that up. You're gonna get a thick paste. Scrape the sides down. This is going to sit on the counter all day, like the bowls. Okay, the bowls are gonna sit out on the counter. This is going to rise, and then when it is fully risen and ready to make a loaf, that's when I put it in the fridge. And the reason I put it in the fridge is because I only make bread once or twice a week. So I'm not gonna leave it out that whole time. The bowls, same thing, mix that up until you get a good paste. You might need to add just a little bit more water, but you do want that to be a strong starter. So I can't get all of the dry. I'm gonna put just a couple drops more of water. Scrape it down. You want to have the glob in the center. Okay, it looks about like that. That's ready. Do the same thing to the next one. Just incorporating this. I'm starting this at about 7:30 in the morning. I will leave this on the counter at room temperature until 3 or 4 o'clock this afternoon. That is the amount of time it usually takes for my starter to be ready to make a loaf. Okay, depending on the temperature of your room. If it's warmer, it may take less time. If it's colder, it may take a little bit more, but it's fairly chilly in here. It's about 67 degrees. I don't see it warming up, so we'll see what happens. But that is it. These are ready to just set to the side. I'm gonna cover them with my, these are my hair nets, shower caps. This bowl is really big, so you have to have a big shower cap. And that just sits there until this afternoon. It's time to finish up our sourdough bread. we need to mix in our milled flour, our whey, our eggs, and our salt. So I'm going to weigh out what we need to finish the loaves, which is 700 grams of wheat. I'm going to be doing a mixture. This is hard white wheat. Then we'll have einkorn. And again, this is going to total 700 grams. So just mix there. And then the last one is going to be Canut. I think that's how you say it. So 3 different grains. This is what I've been using, and it gives me a nice loaf that has a lot of flavor. So 700 here. I'm going to go ahead and mill that. This is what the flour looks like. That's about the 700 grams. So what we're going to do is take our bowls. I'm going to go ahead and zero this out. I'm going to use half in this bowl and half in the other one. So I need 350 of this. Just watch your weight. And then I'm going to finish it with bread flour. So I need to make it equal 500 grams, including the bread flour. So about 150 grams of the bread flour, each loaf. Okay. The next thing we're going to add is 1 egg. We don't need to weigh that. Zero this. We're going to add our whey. This is leftover from making yogurt. So really good vitamins, proteins. We're going to put 350 of this liquid in. So any liquid. Water, milk, whey. Okay, it's about 350. We're going to zero it again, and then we're going to do salt. We want about, I find that about 12 grams is good for these stone milled loaves. That's 9, and that's 12. Okay, so set that aside. Do the same thing to this one. Go ahead and zero that. Add the rest of your milled flour. Mix a mess, and then we're going to equal that up to 500. Okay, we got 1 farm fresh egg. Put that in. Zero it. We're going to do the whey, 350. Okay, and then zero. We're going to do the salt, about 12 grams. That's 9. That's 13, but it's close enough. Okay, now we're going to give this a mix. We want to go ahead and just make a shaggy dough, so we're not trying to over mix it at this point. We're just trying to incorporate the ingredients. So just breaking up that egg, mixing in the salt and the starter. Kind of give that starter a stir at the bottom first. Then bring in your dried flour. Scrape the sides. It looks perfect. You just want to make sure all the dried are incorporated. All right, now this step that we're going to do next is wait 2 hours. So it is about 3 o'clock right now. We will wait till 5 and we'll do our first stretch and pull. Okay, so cover this. Go ahead and mix up the next one. Get that starter going first. Break your egg up. And then get your dry ingredients in there. Almost done. So I do have the starter that's still been setting out since about 7 a.m. this morning. It has risen, it is bubbly, so now I'm going to put that into the fridge to save it until I'm ready for my next loaves. So it's ready to go into the fridge now. If you were going to make any other baked goods, you could go ahead and use it. So pizza, bread, anything else, cinnamon rolls that you would want. That starter is ready to make another loaf if you would like, or another project. And that is it. I'll show you what the starter looks like. Okay, so it's been a couple of hours. I'm just going to do the first stretch and fold. You just grab it and just gently stretch and fold that over. Grab and stretch. Stretch. We want to make sure that it is all the way mixed up at this point because we are only doing one more stretch and folds on these before we leave them setting out on a counter overnight and bake them tomorrow morning. So there's that one. And one more. One big stretch. Do about 4 or 5 stretch and folds on this. Okay. I just flip it over so the seams integrate, and that is it. All right, it is time to take the sourdough out of the bowls and put it into our bannetons. I'm going to use this rice flour that I made out of rice in the blender and just cover my silicone mat. You don't have to have a silicone mat. You don't have to have rice flour, but it does work for me. This is what the dough looks like overnight. It has risen nicely. There are a lot of bubbles in the dough. You can see through this bowl. It's fairly cold in here, so it did not finish rising, I feel like, all the way, but that's okay because we can let it finish rising in the banneton. I'm going to flour these liberally. With this wet of a dough, it does tend to want to stick more, so just move that flour around. Do a good coating. I dry these out thoroughly between uses, so it's fine. I just set them on top of the fridge or somewhere up high where they can dry out. So we got quite a bit of flour in there. Dump it into the next one. A little bit more flour. Go ahead and coat that side. All right. Take a little of the excess, put it on here. Let's see if this will dump out. And it does. Okay. So pretty good there. What we're going to do is just try to form this into a square or a rectangle shape. Just very gently stretching it out. You don't want to lose any of that rise. You don't want to lose any of the bubbles. And then you're going to do a tri-fold. Fold it in on itself. Fold in on itself. and we're going to roll. This is going to create some tension. Do it very gently. So we're wanting to treat this very gently. Just get it rolled up. Gather it. And then I'm just going to do the drag method and tuck. Drag and tuck. This is creating, again, some more tension on the top. You can see it looks like a bubble. You don't want to break that. And that's it. That's forming it. This one looks like it wants to go into the round banneton, so I'm going to put it in this one. You're going to scoop and then flip it over. Okay. I'm going to cover this, leave it at room temperature probably for about 2 hours. It's about 66 degrees in here, or 67. So 2 hours, and then you'll want to check it. The way that you check it is to push in it like this. It should bounce up, but leave a tiny indentation, okay? I'm going to let mine rise a little bit more. All right, same thing with this one. Put a little bit more rice down. This is very sticky. I don't like it sticking. I'm going to go ahead and pull this away. And that is that. That's all you're going to do. Cover it about 2 hours, and then it will be time to bake. We're back. It is time to bake the bread. It has risen fairly nicely. It's been about close to 2 hours since I put it in the banneton. For this one, use parchment paper, flip it out, sticking a little bit, not too bad. I'm going to go ahead and lower it into the bread pan. At this point, try and smooth out the paper if you can, because it will indent the bread. Quite a bit of rice flour there. Put a couple ice cubes in the corner. I like the extra steam that creates. That one in the corner. And then top it with another pan. That one's ready. Next one. Same thing, parchment paper. All right, it's time to put them in the oven. All right, the bread is done. I'm gonna go ahead and take it out and see how it turned out. First, we got the sandwich loaf. That looks beautiful. Color, a nice ear. Check the temperature. 207. 207.